Hello, everyone. I just want to welcome. Thanks for joining this cohort. It's amazing to have all of you. It's so exciting. I was trying to read every single introduction in the intro channel, and then I realized that we have lots of people coming from different backgrounds and very diverse expertise. So I'm sure there would be a great learning opportunity for all of us to learn from each other, and we build long-lasting relationships. So as we officially start the cohort, I want to welcome everyone. Thanks for joining this cohort. And the purpose of this talk is mostly on logistics and how the course works, what you should expect, some of the tips for success in the short term and long term. And then at the same time, we would also demo the course portal, and we'll see some of the materials that they are released. So that's it. And also, if you have any questions, feel free to post in the chat. We'll try to take questions after each section of this talk, and then we'll answer questions. So let's start. Who are we? My name is Ali. I will be the instructor for this course. I can share a little bit background about myself and my career. I had a startup, Confo. It was acquired. Then I joined Google in the Google Maps team. There I was trying to use machine learning and build technologies, ML-based features to improve the quality of the Google Maps. And after Google, I joined Adobe, and I've been at Adobe for the last, I think, 6-7 years. And for the first few years, I've been working on building search and recommendation systems. And then over the last couple of years, I've been part of the Firefly team. I've been a core tech lead in Firefly team. And as you may know, Firefly in Adobe is basically trying to use generative AI technologies and bring those into Adobe's products. So everything around like text to image, text to video, and their applications like image editing, video editing, and those kind of features. So that's my career. And we also wrote 2 books with my wonderful co-authors. We have machine learning system design interview book with Alex from ByteByteGo. We also launched generative AI system design interview with my co-author Hao from currently working at OpenAI. And we've also received a lot of great feedback for the books. Aside from that, I also teach at Stanford in their extension programs. I do project deep dives and, similar to this format of our course, deep dives, question answering, and all those things in 2 different courses in CS 224 and CS 221. One is machine learning with graphs, and the other is AI principles. So that's mostly about this. And we created this course together with ByteByteGo and Alex, hoping to bridge the gap in the AI and make it more available and easier for people to learn AI. And this is our agenda for today. We are going to focus on 4 different topics. The first topic is our approach to AI engineering. In our approach to AI engineering is basically why we created this course. What are some of the values and principles that we had in mind, and we created this course, and why the course we think would be valuable. Then we would talk about course logistics, like some of the things that you should expect throughout the course during the week, and how to get support, things like that. Then we'll briefly go over the 6 weeks journey and some of the topics that we would cover and learn, and also the projects that we would build. As part of this, we would also show a demo of the course portal, so we can go over those as well. And finally, I would share some tips for success, and that includes both short-term success and long-term success, as well as some of our commitments, some of the required commitments and course policies. So let's start with our approach to AI engineering. I've received a lot of messages from people over the years, and they were trying to get into the AI from different backgrounds, or they're software engineers, they're hoping to switch to AI, or even they are an AI engineers, but they want to improve their skills and learn different features, how to build them. So when we created this course, and when we heard about a lot of those requests from people, we learned that there is a gap in learning. There are a couple of things that are not easily available outside in external resources, external courses. One aspect was learn by doing, which I'm going to talk about this in the next slide. The other value was learn the right depth, and finally, learn in a community. So the first one is learn by doing. A lot of people are doing passive learning. And again, I've been receiving messages that, hey, we are watching tutorials, we are reading papers, but we are not really feeling confident or comfortable to build AI systems. We don't know how they are really built in practice. So we realized that passive learning is not the approach for building AI systems, and perhaps it needs to be followed by an active learning. And by active learning, what we mean is that we try to build AI systems. So it comes after learning. So first, we still need to learn by watching tutorials and reading papers or whatever. But then after that, we have to try to build something. And during this building process, we would basically figure out what are different pieces, different components, how they can be built and how they can be put together to create some AI feature. And during that process, there would be a lot of implementations and errors and then iterations to fix those. So we think that the real understanding would happen during the active learning, not only passive learning. So when we created this course, we designed it such that it's focused on building some real prototypes that are popular out there. For example, features like deep research or features like Perplexity. So that was our first principle when we designed this course, learn by doing. The next principle that we had is to learn the right depth. As you know, there are lots of resources and courses out there. Again, one of the complaints that I was hearing a lot from people was that they find it very difficult to find the right course to learn the right material. Either they're most of the courses outside are one of the two extremes. Either they are math heavy or very shallow. Math heavy ones are the ones that have lots of details and too much theories. And many of those theories or details are not always practical. I mean, they are really good content if somebody is a researcher or they want to continue research or in academia, but they're not necessarily useful for building an AI tool. They're just simply too much details or too much theories. And again, this includes some good courses from credible institutions. Like I've been going through a course available on YouTube from a very good school, and it was also very, very good. I learned a lot. But the problem was that many of the things that it was shared throughout the course was like 40 hours or something like that. A lot of those were not really used in practice. It was not even practical to deploy at that scale or support those or use those ideas. So this is one extreme. And then the other extreme is basically courses that are too shallow, or not only courses, anything like YouTube videos, any content that is too shallow. And they are typically missing a lot of important details, and they are more for making you an AI user, not really an AI builder. So basically, after you go through these shallow content, you would know, for instance, how to use an API and call it and get a response from an LLM, but you would not know what are the internals of LLMs, how they work, how can you pick some of those and mix them and build something new or customize it to make it like chatbot for a certain use case. So we aim here. We try to, when we were designing this course and creating the content, we were aiming to sit in between these two extremes. We started from creating something very comprehensive, anything that can be important and necessary for an AI engineer to know and build different features. And then we try to remove unnecessary details, anything that is not going to directly help to build something, or they are not really used in practice. And then we reached somewhere here. And we think that this is going to be very important and very valuable because it allows people to do not overspend their time on learning things that are not really matter. So that was the second principle that we had in mind when we designed this course. And then finally, we had the last value in mind, and that was learning in a community. And I think that this is probably the most important value compared to other two. So let me talk about that briefly. Learning alone is generally very difficult. It can be slow. It is usually discouraging, and also it's easy to get stuck. Now, these days with AI tools or chatbots, you may be able to unblock yourself using AI if you get stuck. But still, there are a lot of situations where we really need feedback or inputs from real humans. For example, when we try to build a startup, we are thinking about different ideas, or we have a system we want to get feedback. Those are all the situations where if we are learning alone or building alone, we may easily get stuck. So we focused on learning with peers in a community. So it has lots of benefits. It has we can collaborate with each other on projects. We can learn from each other during the collaboration. We can give and receive constructive feedback when we are in a community. So it's great. I mean, our community is now over, I think, 400 people. So I'm sure there would be a lot of good things that we can learn from each other. And part of that would be giving and receiving feedback. So this is another advantage of this journey where we will be learning in a community. And finally, we will build lasting connections. So I'm sure, again, many of the connections that would be formed in this journey, it would last beyond this course. And hopefully there would be a lot of great things coming out of the forming connections, great ideas, great products, great services. So that's the first topic. I'll pause here to take some questions from the chat. Please write if you have questions. Otherwise, I will continue with the course logistics.
Yeah, Ali, one question. Do we get the content and all those details through our community link itself, or is it a separate place where we get the offline?
Yes, everything would be available in the course platform, including the material that we would release, the Git link, it would be there. Also, the live sessions would be recorded, and we would provide the recorded links in the course platform as well.
Thank you.
Sure.
Two questions, maybe more, regarding the logistics side of things. One was like, so you said that we found like the sweet middle spot, but if, let's say, up in terms of learning, but let's say if someone wants to delve a little deeper on the theoretical aspect, do we get link resources using the course?
That's a great question. Yes. So as part of the material, we are trying to just strike this balance, right, and not oversharing, unnecessary details. But whenever there is good opportunity for learning, if people are interested, we would provide links to external resources or technical papers. So you would find a lot of places where we are sharing just a bunch of links. Even week 1 is now released, so you can see there are a bunch of links put out there. And as you watch the material, also you would see links, so you know which link to go and read if you are interested to learn deeper or in a greater detail about a certain topic.
Makes sense. And then you said that there's gonna be like the one thing that we get from the community is giving and receiving feedbacks. So how does that work, and what's the logistics of that?
Sure. I'm going to briefly talk about how to get support and in the course logistics. But basically, the general idea is that we have those channels, and general discussion is a great place to just do anything. I mean, just post your questions, brainstorm, and we really encourage everyone to also share helpful resources if they have anything. Like if you watch a video and you think it could be beneficial for the community, please share it. So the hope is that we learn a lot and we share a lot in those channels. And same goes for the getting feedback.
Awesome, thanks.
And aside from that, we have also office hours. Again, I'm going to talk about that shortly in this talk. And there, basically, you can get again feedback from me and other people.
I have a question about office hours. Do we need to prepare and announce in advance the subjects that we want to discuss, or we can just come there?
So we try to keep this very flexible. So we don't have a lot of like strict rules. If you post your questions beforehand, I can definitely go through them, prepare if I need preparation, and then answer. But you can always, you are always welcome to ask your questions live. I try to answer most of them. If they are relevant to the course and the material, I would definitely be able to answer. If they are outside, I try my best to answer. But again, if I don't have expertise, I would just come back to you. But if you have something that may require me preparation or do some researching, please post them, ahead of time and give me some time to prepare for that.
That sounds great. And posting, I assume that there is a capability in the portal that we can use for posting, right?
Sorry, can you repeat again?
I mean, the question was, if we have questions, where do we post them? I assume that in the portal there is a place where we can do that,
Yes,
right?
yes. I'm going to demo it soon.
Great. Thank you so much.
Of course.
Hey Ali, I had one question. So we are looking into the middle ground between math heavy and shallow learning of AI. So will we also look into inference and deployment strategies for the AI models? Or would it be just something that we will learn at a very upper level and it is our responsibility to actually implement those kind of techniques?
Okay, so that's also a great question. So we would definitely talk about the inference time. I mean, that's part of the AI, both in the material, during the learning process, and also as we build during the project deep dives. So because it's important, I mean, it's part of the AI system to know how to inference. Either it's an image generation, video generation, diffusion model, or it's LLM, or it's a reasoning model. So that we would go over. Also, we would go over inference optimizations whenever it's relevant. For example, in image and video generation, it's important to optimize at inference time. Otherwise, it's not going to be practical. I mean, in practice, there are lots of optimizations happens on top of text to video models at inference time. So those things we would go over in the material. For the deployment, we are not focused on the deployment because it's basically agnostic to AI. And just the same deployment that applies to the software engineering. In most of the cases, it also applies to AI. So deployment is not our main focus in this course.
Okay, so we'll not be dealing with infrastructure at all. We'll be dealing more with the more or less the system and optimization side.
Exactly. I mean, the whole focus would be on the systems, like how to build some of those systems, what are different pieces, how those pieces can be built, and how to put together all those pieces to create this entire system, like a minimal briefs, as well as the some information and the learning objectives of the video. And also the video is coming with a canvas like. So if you want to also access the canvas, it's here. And all the links that is mentioned in the video. So for any of the links, it's just placed here for the convenience. And project one is also, when you click, you would see the overview and learning objectives and the time commitment instructions and everything. And then also the link to the Git repo. And if you just click on it, you would see the actual project. So that's about the course portal. And I assume you've already completed this, but this is where you start and make sure you have access to everything and the community guidelines. And if you need help, you can also email us at any time. So that's about the course portal. Let me reshare the slides.
I have a quick question, if I can.
Sure.
Okay, so I'm really good at theoretical concepts, but never had a hands-on experience on this coding. So do you you showed me some coding. So do you provide step by step how to set up whatever the interface that I need to work with?
Yes. So basically for each project, there is a clear instructions on how to set up, or some of the projects are on Google Colab, so you don't need even any requirements. So you can just run it. And the project itself is a notebook with different cells. And each cell is basically providing an explanation of what we are trying to achieve and what are the steps. And here is the code. And then some parts is obviously your code here section, which you are expected to work on. But then after that, we would, during the deep dive, yes, we would go over every single cell and complete it and provide explanation.
Okay, so part of this course, will I be able to, okay, once I complete the course, will I be able to build production grade LLM or agents, including like scalability, observability, those kind of things, including those aspects?
Again, so we are not going to focus on deployment and
Okay.
observations, but part of the material talks about evaluation mechanisms.
Understood. Okay, so you'll be covering like best practices for deploying.
We are going to cover optimizations and necessary for deployment.
Understood. Okay, thank you.
All right. So finally, the last section is tips for success. So here I'm going to focus on commitments and course policies, and finally some of the ways you can make the most out of the course to succeed in the short term and also build for the long term. The time commitment is 4 to 6 hours per week, and this includes watching the pre-recorded guided learnings, spending some time on the project template to complete it, and attending the live sessions or watching the pre-recorded live sessions. The attendance is optional in all our sessions. All live sessions will be recorded and they will be made available. And then deliverables are, for projects, there is no submission process, so no delivery is required. It's just for you to practice and reinforcement the learnings. And then we would do the deep dive. And they're also optional. So if you don't get a chance to work on the projects, we would do the deep dive anyway. And capstone, as I mentioned, is optional. So these are the commitments. The course policies is we all come from different backgrounds and different levels of familiarity with AI. So the goal is to just we all respect each other and help each other and lift each other up to learn more and feel safe in asking questions, even simple questions. The second thing is AI use is permitted for the capstone. For the projects, weekly projects, it's not, I mean, you can still use AI, but it's not really going to, if you ask AI about the projects to complete those portions of the code that you are expected to work on, it's very likely that AI chatbots would be able to complete them correctly. But I would discourage that because, again, those portions are designed so that you learn how to implement things if you are interested in the implementation part. So I discourage using AI for projects, weekly projects, but feel free to use AI in any form for your capstone project. I also encourage everyone to ask questions in public chat channels. One of the main benefits of this course is to we learn from each other and engage and answer to each other's questions. So asking in public channels can be beneficial for others because other people may have the same question and it helps them to also learn more from people's questions. And for succeeding in the short term, again, feel free to ask questions, even if they are simple, just post them. Me or someone would answer your question. And it's going to be helpful and you can unblock yourself as soon as you have a question or you feel blocked on something about the course material. Also, please engage and help and answer other people's questions, your peers, provide feedback. It would be really helpful for everyone. Third is the step-by-step learning process. The course is designed sequential and it's expected to, each week is building on top of the previous weeks. And I think the main thing of this point is not to just discourage and continue learning each step and completing the learnings and material and then switching to the next. The hope is that by the end of the 5-6 weeks, you should know how some of the very popular AI features out there are built. by just following this step-by-step process. And also, please use the resources available. There is a great community already formed, so ask questions, make connections, get feedback from me and others, and also collaborate. Some collaborations can be really great and life-changing, so it would be also very valuable to collaborate on some projects or some assignments or even the capstone project. And build for the long term. So there are these three key things that I want to share, which I think would help a lot with the long-term success. The first one is building connections and connecting with peers, because it's going to last beyond the course, and hopefully there would be great ideas or startups or services at some point coming out of these connections. The next thing is persistent. It's going to be any learning journey can be difficult, and sometimes there are failures, or you may get stuck, but just use the resources available to you, unblock yourself, and just progress comes from persistence. So just iterate and practice and learn from failures and ask questions. So it's going to pay off in the long run. And finally, I would also suggest to think big and treat this journey as more than just a course. It can be a launchpad for bigger ideas. The capstone project doesn't have to be something related only to this course. It can be something that you've always wanted to work on or build. And just think big. And by the end of this cohort, these are some of the achievements. We would complete 5 AI prototypes plus the capstone project, which you can showcase or extend after the course. You would learn and have prototyping skills, because a lot of projects are basically designed such that we use whatever is out there, all the tools, libraries, open source models, so we can quickly move from ideas to actual prototype. The third one is confidence. As we are prototyping these AI systems, we would build confidence, because now we know how some of these systems are going to work. This is very important, because a lot of times I see people that are going through passive learning and just learn tutorials. They don't feel confident to talk about how real AI systems are built. But as we get into the internals and we try to build them, I'm sure we are going to gain a lot of confidence to know how the systems work and prototype them. And finally, you will have access to the community of peers, mentors, and collaborators to stay connected beyond the cohort. And I think this is my last slide. So let's build together. Please support each other. It would be really helpful if we all help each other, share good resources, and lift each other up. Please also give us feedback. Our goal was to create something that is more effective for people to learn AI or interested to become AI engineers. We tried to figure out some of the existing issues or challenges and fix those. But I'm sure as this is our first experience, there would be lots of places where we can improve. So please give us feedback and let us just improve ourselves as we move forward. And finally, please feel free to share your journey, your learnings with other people on your friends or social media, if you think some learning can be helpful also for others. And quick 3 questions I listed here, but if you have more questions, you are more than welcome to post them on channels. So the 3 questions here is, do I need to be a pro at coding? Again, the answer is no, because the main focus of all the projects is to understand the workflows and what are the different components and how to connect them. In almost all the projects, we try to just use what is out there, all the tools and external libraries, to just build something. So, and the main learning purpose is to just understand what are the pieces, not how those pieces should be implemented or low-level details. So no, I believe there is no requirement to be pro at coding unless you are interested in implementing some of those or doing some low-level coding. What if I fall behind? You can watch the recordings and also ask questions. And finally, how do I get help? We have office hours, and also we have chat channels in the course platform. Feel free to post any questions there, and we'll try to answer as soon as possible. So that's my last slide. I think I can take a few more questions.
Yeah, Ali, hi, and hi everyone. I would like to ask something. So, like, you said when we will do deep dive of previous session in the next session, right? Yeah. So, and we will go over the project at that time. So, will it be more like a pair programming session? That we can do. We will have time to do same or like fix our what we missed or improvements or we could not do, fix it along with you, like or whatever, like you have done, like during this deep dive session you did you would do something, and will you be sharing with us in some way, like through GitHub, and then we have time to incorporate it, or it's or we just take notes or go by recording? So anything you would like to share there?
Sure. So basically, the beginning of the week, a project is released, and it's a project template. So you get one whole week to go over it, work on it, and also ask questions from me if you have any confusions or concerns as you try to implement those. And then the beginning of next week, we would do a project deep dive and walkthrough. So the format is I'm going to go over the project step by step, explain each line. And also for the lines that were previously you were expected to implement, we would write and implement those sections. And we would run it and make sure it's going to work. So that's basically going to be the format.
So
Ali, I have just 3 quick questions. I've been waiting for a long time. Maybe some of this already answered. One is like, are you going to cover some kind of fine tuning on existing LLM model?
So we would cover extensively training and fine tuning in the learning material. In the building, because of the infrastructure and related costs, we just use open source models.
Okay, so regarding open source models, like which are the model that we will be using for this cohort?
So in the first few projects, we would start from like older, simpler ones for the learning purposes. We would, for example, in the project one, we would start with GPT-2 just to inspect its layers. But later down the road, we would switch to also some variants of Llama. And I believe we would also use a few other lightweight models. But the idea is, again, instructions are provided in the project. You can always switch to different models and experiment with different models. So as long as the model is lightweight enough to be loaded. One of the libraries that we are using is Ollama. And then there, basically, there are lots of documentations on which models you can use and load to experiment with.
And like Ali, are we planning to use like LangGraph and A2A protocol as part of the learning?
So we'll go over LangChain in one of the projects. A2A, we are not going to go over it just because those systems can be very complicated if we want to set up the A2A and having multiple agents. But LangChain, definitely yes.
Yeah, just the last question. Thank you so much. Is like, after this course, are you planning any, like the next course, like, more advanced or something like that? I mean, it's too early to ask it, but just in case.
Yes, it's probably too early. We are still learning, but one thing is we plan to do is because this field is evolving fast, and we'll try to keep all the materials up to date. and update them whenever necessary. And we'll make sure to also provide those as well, even after the cohort. So whenever we update anything or add new materials, we make sure to also provide them.
Yeah, thanks, Ali. Really excited.
Of course. So I'm also going to answer some questions from chat. One question is,
there are raised hands for a long while, so maybe raised hands like have also.
Of course, sure. Let me just go over a few questions in the chat and then also the raised hands. Okay, so notebook still isn't found after granting GitHub. So those, please post all the access issues after this session and we'll fix those. Like notebook access and things like that. So I put in this cohort too big to manage and answer questions to everyone. So we'll just gonna answer all questions posted in the course platform. So yeah, that I can guarantee. So all right, so let's go to people raising hand. Tree, do you want to go ahead?
Oh, wow, tremendous. I've been waiting for this. Thank you, Ali. So I come into this with no expectation of what it should or should not be, but should you improve the content of the course in the future, do we still have maintain access to the improved contents?
Yes, you would have. We would improve the content as it evolves or something becomes more relevant, and you would have access to the new ones.
Tremendous. Thank you.
Of course. Peter, do you want to go next?
Thank you very much. I know it has not been promised, but could we consider having some kind of shareable certificate that one can put on LinkedIn in search for jobs as a result of this? Any thoughts on that? Thank you.
Right. Thanks for the question. We can provide proof of completion, a certificate for proof of completion, and I assume that would also work for the use case. But yes, we can provide that. Rahul?
Ali, I had two questions. There was one good question in the chat in terms of the security aspect of setting the agents around using of the LLMs. Can you a little bit talk about that? Not now, but necessarily at some point in time during these 5-6 weeks course. And the second question was, you said you're not going to cover agent to agent, but I think it would be good to get a perspective on when one should set up the agent to agent versus just using a single agent. I think that perspective would be really handy. Thank you.
Sure. Thanks for the suggestion. I totally agree. We cover A2A in general in the guided learning. We are not having it in the project, but that's a very good suggestion. I would work on, and we would consider adding something relevant for A2A at some point. And for your first question, security, I would get back to you on that. I can share some resources and also think more about the security aspect of some of these systems.
Yeah, especially for the enterprise grade application, the security, as you know, it's going to be very critical.
Of course. Sure. Omkar?
Yeah, Ali. Thanks for taking my question. I have a question about the infrastructure side. So I am particularly interested in learning how inference and training happens at scale. I have secured hardware for running a Kubernetes cluster and running Ray on it to simulate GPU workloads. I understand that this is not going to be covered in this course, but I was hoping that because this is related, could you please provide resources for folks who are interested in this sort of thing? And same goes for fine-tuning and other such things that are tangential but aren't going to be covered. Thanks.
Sure, definitely. I can share definitely training and fine-tuning resources. And also if I come to like deployment or good things, good resources, I would share. I also ask everyone else. I know there are some people expert in deployment in this group, so please share also good resources so we all learn from it. Debbie, can you go next?
Hi. These are actually two suggestions around the office hours. One is, can you potentially have two of them? One that support, just because of the size of the group, maybe one that supports the UK timing. That's one. And the second suggestion is how you'll manage those office hours. Maybe you could first ask people to post in the chat and then, on the portal first, and then only the more in-depth questions go into the chat, so they kind of get advanced into the office hours. They're just suggestions, but thank you.
Oh, of course, those are great suggestions, Debbie. Thank you so much. For the office hour, yes, let us figure out, and then we would announce it. And I think that's you are right. That is a great suggestion. And regarding the second one, of course, we would. I think we would come with a strategy, and we would also post it in the announcement in terms of questions. Just because of the group size, we would also introduce priorities. So, and we will ask people to post their questions ahead if they can, and those will get prioritized. And then after that, people that have questions, and they can post in the chat or raise hands. But thank you, Debbie. Those are great suggestions. Prasad?
Thanks, Ali. A couple of questions. I'm going through some online, learning through. I'm seeing some new technologies like, MCPs, Model Context Protocol, planner services, and I saw some React planner, sequential planner, something, and also the internal models. So when I talk to my friends in the industry, they're most working on training internal models or smaller models rather than going many of the tasks going to LLMs. So do you have any things included regarding that in the course, or is there any, if not, any plans to include that so that it will helps a lot?
Can you elaborate a little bit more on the content that you have in mind?
So model context protocol, MCPs.
Yeah. So MCP, we are covering it in the guided learnings, and we are covering it in detail. And then A2A protocol, we also covered it in the guided learning. It's not in the project, and I would consider the best place that we can also introduce A2B as at some point to the projects.
Okay. Is there anything under the planner services?
For that, let me think, and I can share with you later.
Sure. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Of course. Gaurav? Gaurav, do you want to go next?
Are you able to hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. So I have a question related to capstone project. Basically, when we build the capstone project, we might be using some kind of resources, GPU and other things, and maybe we wanted to try those. So during that time, if we want to try on local or try on our own, will there be some kind of resources provided like GPU hours or something as part of this, or kind of like sandboxing provided by the platform? Or do we need to use the same platform what we have as like LLM playgrounds here?
No, I mean, you don't have to use the same platform. Basically, you have full flexibility to use any kind of coding or any kind of APIs. I know there are many providers which provide like free access to certain models. So you can just use any of those, and you can also base your project on top of Google Colab to get access to GPU if that's required. So those are all the options available. We are not providing any specific like credits for particular provider as part of this course, but you are free to use any available resources out there for the capstone.
Okay, so if there is any kind of collaboration or anything, kind of free credits will be available, will that be shared somewhere, like, or is there any plans to bring those kind of free credits to use for some hands-on?
Sure. I mean, if at some point we decide to share or introduce like credits or subscriptions, we would share. But at this point, we are not offering, subscriptions to GPUs or certain infrastructures. But what I was referring to was like there are lots of external resources available, like free API calls that you can use, or for GPU, you can base your project on Google Colab. So that's what I was referring to. But if at some point we decide to also add like certain credits for GPUs, we would share with you.
Sure, thank you.
Sure.
Ali, I'm sorry to interrupt here, but I have a suggestion which I think can make our lives easier here. Uh, is it possible for you to sign up for AWS Academy from your end and onboard us to that AWS Academy? Because I was in uni recently, and for each course, each student can get up to $50 of AWS credits if there is an official AWS Academy cohort that is created. And this, I don't think it would cost you anything either, but I'm not sure. But worth looking into.
Okay, thanks, Omkar. We'll look into it. I can do some research and look into it. Yeah, but thanks for the suggestion.
Thank you.
Sonia, do you want to go next?
Yes, hi, thank you. So I think the question, if we will have, we should ask in the group chat, right? Not individually you, right?
Yes, I mean, if you that's always better, and I encourage that. It has just prioritize to post your questions in public channels, because it's going to benefit others, and also others can share more inputs or resources. But if you have something that is not relevant, or it's just a certain question that you prefer to ask directly, you can also message me directly.
Okay, sure. And just one more thing, that so we will be working on this project assignment of each week, plus the capstone project also, right? to be able to demo on the 6th week, right?
Yes.
Okay,
So
got
yeah,
it.
projects are template, and they are designed just for you to understand how some of your learnings can be applied in practice. And it's again optional. It's more for just preparation or a pre-read kind of a thing before the deep dive that we would do. And capstone, yes, capstone, you can start working on it. Capstone is also optional, but you can start working on it from today, and the last day is the demo day.
Yeah, and I saw somebody had asked in the chat, I was reading, so those project templates, that when we will fill it in with our work, can we push it to our personal GitHub account to have a record, or to show it to, like a future employer, something like that? Or it's proprietary?
So the projects, so basically you pull them, and then once you complete it, you push to your personal account.
Yeah, so to have so that we don't lose that work, once we complete this training, and later on, if we want to share it, like if I'm looking for work to share it with an employer, if I can share it, is it possible? I mean,
Sure. Yes, yes, that would be, yes, that is possible.
okay, got it. Thank you, appreciate it.
Of course.
Thank you, that's all.
Sure. Tanvir?
Yeah, am I audible?
Yes.
Yeah, so my question is around the structure. I'm sure like you explained it, I just need further clarification. So today's live session, you're covering through logistics and all. Then we have access to the first week course. So we'll start learning. Then Wednesday, we'll have office hour where we may have questions and all while we are learning, self-learning. And then you will answer that. Then come next Saturday, You will enable the second week course, but what will you cover on next Saturday's live session?
Next Saturday live session would cover project 1 deep dive, the one that was released today.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
So in total, basically, we are going to release 5 projects, and we are going to also do a deep dive, live deep dive of all 5 projects.
Got it. Thank you.
Of course. Daniela?
Hi. I understood that you will not cover deploy things, but can you share with us during the course some resources that you kind of know that work for us
Of
in
course.
order to improve our skills? For example, like put in production some things that you will know here.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. The deployment is such a broad, domain, and usually there are lots of things, but I know a lot of great resources. I can definitely share them. Yes.
Like share some design options that are scalable.
Sure. Of course.
Thank you.
Yeah. Again, for a scale, we are covering many of those scaling topics in the guided learning, but the actual deployment is not covered. But I can share resources. Yep. Vinshu? I think you are mute. Vinshu, do you want to go next? Okay, so Roy, can you go next?
I'd like clarification about what you said about discouraging people from using AI for the weekly projects. So I usually use Cursor these days, and Cursor's AI assistant. And I think if I heard correctly, you said, well, I discourage people from using AI for weekly projects, but you can use it for Capstone. Did I hear accurately that I should do it by hand without Cursor if I want to follow your recommendation? And also, can you say a bit more about your rationale?
Right. So the projects that we release, it's a template project. So parts of it is already implemented for you. For example, the UI or things like that. The parts that are not implemented are related to some of the core topics that were covered in the course. So, for example, to inspect certain layers, let's say for the project 1, which is just building the foundations, or to just inspect number of parameters or things like that. You can still use AI to learn and understand how that's implemented. The reason that I mentioned that is that is discouraged because in the deep dive we would go over all of those anyway, right? And the purpose of the projects is not just to just complete them, because there is also no submission mechanism or grading, right? So if one asks AI would just complement those portions, and it can just be copy pasted. So that's what I meant. There is just no point of it's using AI. But still, if you are curious about one part, or if you want to learn the alternative implementation or things like that, you can definitely use AI. I mean, it's definitely permitted and also can be helpful.
Okay, so if I heard accurately, so it's not you're anti-AI, obviously not, but rather the project exercises on a weekly basis are scoped so that we wouldn't learn anything if we said AI help, because it would just fill it in and it would be done. But if extrapolating, if I were to take the project and I make my own project idea, well, if we tweak this and it's a different similar scope thing or slightly larger scope thing, but it's my own idea, okay, and I go off and use Cursor, well, there's nothing wrong with that. It won't take away from my learning. Is that right?
Of course. I mean, again, it's a great tool. I mean, just use AI wherever you think it would bring value, add value to what you're working on, the capstone project, brainstorm, implementation, anything. And it's up to you also for projects. Again, it's just a discretionary thing, right? So if you find a cell and you see an implementation and you want to learn about alternatives, you can ask AI.
Yeah.
And when I want to learn something, I first try to implement it, and then I try to use AI to check if the implementation is correct, or if there are better ways, or if there are alternatives. So that's perhaps can be an effective way for the learning part.
Okay, got it. Thanks very much.
Of course. Varun, can you go next?
Hey, hi Ali.
Hey.
So quick question on as I asked that same question in chat, but just wanted to come in here in person. It's about this is a system design conceptual training. So wanted to see as in when system design has been discussed, there is a major core concept which is security, and security is also another big major point in any system design, and specifically in AI system design. So any knowledge or any specific references that can be given there in this training cohort?
Sure, I can definitely share some resources around security. I have some friends that are also expert in, they're working in the security field in top tech companies. I can also get their inputs as well on some great resources that can help to, learn about AI security or in general security for AI systems. And then I can share those.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Of course. Jitendra?
Yeah, hi Ali. I just wanted to know like where we will be running these open source models on our local. If local, what should be the system requirement?
Sure. So the projects, we are going to use a mix of Google Colab, and some of them are local environment development. And those instructions are provided as part of the project. So you would go over it and you see if it's encouraged to use Google Colab or local development. For the system requirements, most of the models that we are using are very lightweight, like 2 billion parameters, LLMs or things like that. So it really should not require any like very powerful machines or things like that. And also you have always the option to switch to even lighter weight models. So like models like less than 1 billion parameters or things like that. The rest of the code is just very simple. I mean, it doesn't really need any specific machine requirements. But again, as the projects gets released, you can, if you face certain issues or you have questions for which model to use, you can just ask them in the chat channels.
Okay, so just like 8 GB RAM should be suffice for running these?
I mean, I think it would. Mine is 8 GB, and then I tried everything on my side. It works. But again, if you faced any particular issue, which is likely, I also faced when I was running some of these projects before it gets finalized, just post them, and then we'll try to figure out what the issue is. And I can also share my thoughts, and if you can switch to like lighter weight models.
So right now the alternative would be lighter weight models. It won't be like I can run somewhere in cloud, because I'm not that familiar. Right?
You can always try Google Colab for most of the projects.
Okay, thank you.
Of course. Nishit?
Yeah, can
Hi,
I set
Ali.
up a cloud virtual machine, and can I practice that? Or
sorry, what was it?
no, my question is,
My turn or?
oh, sorry. I
yeah,
think it's
maybe we take Nitish. Yeah.
So Ali, my question is like we all know AI field is evolving very fast. It's like sometimes becomes difficult to catch up. So would you suggest any resources, any like website or something where we can see the latest news, authentic resources, because there's a lot of junk over there. People just copy paste. So any that will be helpful for us to keep
Sure.
in.
Yeah, I can also compile a list. I have a list I for my personal use. Those are like mostly like reliable blogs or places where I can find good technical reports. I can share those in case you find some of those helpful.
Yeah. Thank you.
Sure. Trishna?
Hey, hi. Thanks, Ali, for taking my question. So as AI is evolving, we are all talking about training LLMs and how we can deploy these models and all. But we are not discussing much about where this AI can be potentially implemented when it comes to the data engineering side of things, or the analytics side of things. So do you have any materials where they have spoken about how this AI has been used? I mean, what are the potential use cases of AI in the field of data engineering, analytics, and other areas?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Sure. I mean, the way I see this is first we started with some of these like data engineering, and then over time it became basically, I think AI is a superset of most of these, right? So because we actually discussed this in the week one learning, guided learning, that AI has to build an LLM. It has different steps. One step is obviously the data step, which requires a lot of data engineering work, data cleaning, having the right data pipeline. And then after data is basically the training and the rest of it. So that's how I see this. So I think AI is just a superset, and it contains everything, like from data to model training to optimization to deployment to inference and even evaluation. Yeah, I hope it answers your question.
Yeah, let me go through the guided learning documents and then reach out to you if I have any questions.
Sure.
Thank you.
Sharas?
Hey, Ali. I have two questions. The first one is, since these deliveries you're not expecting deliveries for each of these projects, I think it'd be useful to see what the end output should look like in terms of, user facing, let's say, application. I think it'd be helpful to see, okay, this is what I've done, this is how it should look like, and kind of benchmark and see where we are at, right? That kind of helps in terms of, before even the deep dive, it would help me progress with my work. The second piece is, let's say if I really want to move towards, I'm working on my own ideas that I've been waiting to do for a long time. It would help if there are any resources shared on productionizing these systems, although this is not the focus of this cohort. I think it'd help if we could share resources and see how we could actually push it to production eventually, even if it's an alpha.
Of course, yeah. I mean, thanks for the suggestions. Again, please post whenever you are looking for certain resources or interested to learn about certain topic. Me and I'm sure others can share. So it's also going to be more organized. So for example, post something about this topic, and then I'm going to share whatever I think can be helpful, and also others would do. And then potentially this can become a valuable, like list of resources. For the projects, there are instructions, and then at the very end, basically, there is a clear instruction that, hey, at this point, we are doing this, and then what we are hoping is that to see like a model perform some reasoning and output. Again, we are not focused on UIs or having fancy UIs. That's not the main focus. So many of the projects are not really creating any particular nice UI for the thing. So putting that aside, if you go through the instructions at each step, at the very end is usually saying, hey, this is the skeleton code for a very minimal UI, for instance, and then just complete this part, and you should see like a place where you can enter your prompt and get some output, like a chatbot-like system, for instance. But if, again, you had any confusions for any of the projects, like you don't know what the exact output you should expect or look like, just post it and I can share more.
Yeah, okay, sure, thanks. Yeah, just that in terms of motivation, I think it would be good to see a preview of the end product and then say, okay, no, this is what I'm working towards. Yeah.
Sure, yeah, thanks. Rohan?
Hey Ali, thanks for taking my question. My question is mostly around this guided learning, the video. I mean, I haven't started playing that video, but can we do both the guided learning and the project parallelly, like pausing the guided learning and then implementing that in the project? Can we do it parallelly, or we have to finish the guided learning first and then start doing the project?
Of course, you can do it parallel. So I would suggest first go over the project to understand, to get a sense of what are different pieces in each project and what you are expected to achieve, and then go back and watch the video. And then as you are watching, whenever you feel that some topic is covered and you feel confident and comfortable to go back to the project, then you can go back to the project. But basically, yes, you have full flexibility to just complete however you think is most effective for you.
Got it. And the other question is, I mean, in my daily job, I mostly use AWS services. So can these projects be built using AWS services?
Yes, we try to design the project so that they are agnostic to the infrastructure or any particular provider. They're just basically focused on different pieces, how to put them together and how to run it in the most lightweight way possible. So it doesn't require any infrastructure. But that's by design. Basically, that's so that you can just use any provider or any infrastructure you want, including AWS.
Got it. Thank you.
Of course. Prashant?
Ali, can you hear me?
Yes.
Ali, the question is somewhat related to what Rohan asked. This is the first AI course which I'm taking after my college study. So, what is the ideal way to learn this when I come for the next week for the project one, where I need some background on what is touch, what is transformer, what is tick token, right? If I just go through the code, I'm using Python, Java in my daily work, so I can understand what programming is done, but what are these pieces, right? Do I need to prepare that when I come for the next class, or that will be covered as some basic understanding explained?
Okay, so that's a good question. If you watch the videos, the guided learning videos, it would cover different, like let's say tools like tick tokenizer you mentioned, and it would try to just give a quick overview of how it works. And also it shares links if you want to learn more about the documentation or what are different functionalities of a certain tool. So if you are interested for any of those libraries or any of those tools, you can always go to the links that are provided and learn more. It's usually not expected. So most of the projects, for example, if you are using a tick token library, it's just we share enough background during the deep dive. So you know what the library is, what it does, and how to use it. But if you are really interested to learn more about how it's implemented, like what are all the optimizations that they're doing and so on, you can always go to the links and learn more.
Okay, thank you, Ali.
Sure. Nishit?
Hey Ali, this one suggestion and then one question. Suggestion is like to just keep all of us engaged and really serious about learning and not just doing the passive learning. My suggestion is that if you can have some evaluation, let's say the set of questions, if maybe multiple choice questions, which are like related to that particular topic that we are covering for the week, but they should be difficult enough for somebody to go deep and answer based on the contents that we have posted. It like forces us to study more and understand more about the topic. And then we're like, maybe it is optional for us to answer, but it gives us more confidence that we are learning something. So that was a suggestion.
Sure. So just to make sure, so the suggestion is for some parts of like for certain topics or contents, I ask questions in the channel so people can also answer, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's one way. Otherwise, like everybody answers, like let's say a multiple choice kind of format or whatever works like best
Okay,
for you. I think I leave it to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. That's a good point.
Yeah. So other question is like, it's a general question based on your experience because you have been into this field for a long time. Is there an optimized way, according to you, that you want to suggest to take notes out of this course? Because note taking is also like a very I would say very efficient way to relearn and reinforce your mental learning. So you have any tools or any particular style of taking the notes out of this course?
Yeah. Well, obviously, different people have different styles but I know there is an AI tool which you can install it and then it would automatically create notes from all your meetings or something like that. Let me find out what the name was and I can share with you. You can consider it as one option.
Sure. Thank you, Ali.
Sure. Anurag?
Hey, Ali, thank you so much. So one question,
on a little bit background, about me. I'm working for an organization where we are trying to build an application that has something similar use case like Perplexity, but something on our own internal content. Now, the biggest challenge that we are currently facing is the latency, because these large language models that we use from providers like OpenAI or AWS Bedrock and all that, they do take time, and then we also have a lot of steps in those processes, when we build those pipelines and all that. So I understand you are not going to cover deployment as part of the whole course, but uh, I was hoping if we can touch some portion where, at least high level architecture to, like, okay, maybe these kind of problem to handle these kind of solutions, that maybe the higher level architecture could look like, because traditional APIs usually expect you to return response within fraction of or maybe milliseconds and all that, but these language models take like 10 seconds or 20 seconds to respond. So sometimes these kind of things break the front end part, because you cannot open the connection for that long and all that. So there are so many issues. So that's one immediate challenge that we are facing, and I was hoping if we can get some guidance on that. And two is the model evaluation, because there are so many models coming in, and how do you effectively evaluate a model using a framework, because each model have its own prompt library, and then its own comes with its own challenges to write the behind the scene pipeline to get to the model and all that. So these are the two areas I was looking for, if you are going to cover those in any way.
Of course, yeah, both are very important areas. To some extent, they are covered in the videos. In certain domains, it may not be covered. If that's the case, for example, if you have a very particular question about a RAG-based system, how you optimize, how you evaluate different components to make sure that both the cost and latency is optimized. Some of those very particular things may not be covered, but yeah, again, feel free to post any of these. I'm sure I would answer any of those with any resources, and I'm sure others can also opinions they have to share and input. So, but I would say 50-60% of what you were, the areas you were pointing out are already covered in, like, including the evaluation of LLMs and RAGs and so on.
Got it. Okay. Thank you.
Sure. Cheshta?
Hi, I'm so sorry I undercut the people in the queue earlier. My question was, I'm not a very technical person. I don't work in a tech-related profile right now. So for me to start developing my understanding, I wanted to understand the whole landscape. AI, as you said, is like a superset, and there are some use cases that are, uh, more developed compared to others, and I want to develop my understanding of it. Somebody also mentioned earlier something similar about use cases, and I'm sure we'll go through that. And I'm sure at this point we'll say to post it in the community. But any time that you're engaging with us, if you always include comments or content on the actual use cases, so people like me can get a better understanding, that would be very helpful.
Of course, definitely. So the guided materials, they go over the use cases, and also the project are basically a direct use case of that particular week's topic. But sure, I can share more use cases as they come to my mind for different topics or different weeks.
For sure. Like you mentioned that whatever was not practical is something that has been removed. I would also like to understand what is not practical, because from one point of view, that might be something to look into, that might get developed in the future or something like that. I would like to develop my understanding of the whole superset that there is, even if, some things are not as feasible as others. Thank you so much.
Of course, yeah. And also there are more links, if you are interested to learn more about something, throughout the course. But thanks for the suggestions. I would make sure to include some of those.
Thank you.
Yeah. Emma?
Hi, Ali. Thank you so much. I bet there are quite a few folks here who are thinking about switching into AI engineering. We'll talk about how someone can make that move from a general software role, like what kind of prep is helpful for interviews, ML coding practices, and other practical steps.
So I think this diagram, this visual would probably summarize, what needs to be learned for or expected from an AI engineer. And we tried to cover almost all of this we are covering in the course. So that's basically the whole landscape of AI engineering, or what is expected from an AI engineer to do. In terms of coding, the projects that we have are just an example, right? So basically, they're just for example, for agents, it's just an example how to use LangChain or how to use. So you learn different agentic setups and different like loops or React or things like that. And then in the project, you see, for instance, how you can use LangChain, and then it would just give you the same workflow or the same loop. And then you would build that project just as an example. Once you learn the LangChain and how you can set up an agent, for instance, you can potentially prototype other ideas or build different things. And again, I plan to keep sharing whenever I come up with something interesting, like some interesting reads or some good papers. So in case you are interested, you can read it. And everything I plan to share is more for AI engineering. It's focused on AI engineering.
Thank you.
Sure. Sonia?
Yeah, actually, even I had the same question which Emma just asked. That even I'm like an SDET and a junior Java engineer. So coming from that background, so this training, like somebody or even I think maybe you meant somebody, it came up that it's a systems design training. So a little bit, if you can tell that what. Like is it what audience are you targeting, or like architects or product managers or engineering? I think you said engineering earlier, but I just want a little bit clarity on that. So
Sure.
There could be, is it relevant for my area, or just that?
Sure. Yeah. So who we are targeting is basically a couple of different people. One is people in a different domain, let's say a PM or in a very different domain, and they want to transition into AI. And the reason for that is most of the guided learning videos, they are starting from very basics, explaining like what is the goal. These are some of the basic things, and then it just builds slowly. So those are one group of people that I think would be the course would be very valuable. The other group is software engineers that are trying to transition into AI. Again, because just we start from basics and we explain all different topics, and once we talk about the topics, we go over important and popular features or applications, and we explore their system design. So I would say if, for example, you are a researcher in AI and you want to publish more papers, or you want to continue the field or invent something newer, probably then this course may not. They are not going to be the target audience for this course. So if you want to continue doing more research, or you are at the edge of AI research or engineer, and you want to optimize something even more or build something even more smart, so we are not covering those. But what we are covering is just starting from the basics and then going over all the AI engineering tech stack. Does it answer your question?
Yeah. So, I mean, so just like for software engineering, like, okay, now, AI is the big thing now. And, the more in software engineering, like for me, we know, and we can use it in our work. It is kind of required by the industry. So then for people who are in software engineering, it would be relevant, and we are the target audience. Is that right?
I would say software engineers and people from different backgrounds who want to transition into AI are target audiences. Yes.
I see. Okay, got it. Thank you. Appreciate so much.
Sure. Nishit?
Hey Ali, just like one suggestion, because like if someone of us wants to go to the recording again, or somebody who must have logged off by now, is it like are you planning to share this Zoom summary transcripts, maybe using the Zoom AI? Like we can just go to the text rather than going to the complete recording.
Sure. I'll try to I'll try to find how to create a summary. But sure, yes.
Thank you.
The next hand is Sonia.
No, I'm good. I have to lower my
Oh,
voice.
okay. Ashwin?
Yeah, my question was mainly on the last week, the capstone project. So I'm guessing like we are in a cohort course, and there's a lot of people with a lot of domain experience here. And I think each of us would love to see like, okay, how our individual ideas, how we can use AI in our domains, and that's how I guess the capstone project will go. And I was mainly curious about the part where people demo their projects, or other people can see what, like me, someone like me can see what everyone has done and all, and how do I gain experience. And yeah, mainly the demoing part, because there's like nearly 400 people, right? And I'm guessing like the last week, the meeting and all, within 2 hours, do you think they'll get over? And yeah, just how will people get access to maybe all these ideas? That's it.
Sure. So I think it also depends on how many projects, like also how the groups would be formed. Some people want to work on their own project by themselves. Some may form groups, So what we plan to do is later we would post in the announcement, and then ask for people to share their project, just the name of the project or something like that, so we have an idea of how many projects are expected to be demoed, and then based on that we can plan accordingly. And we may even end up with longer session, or we can also use an additional session, so we make sure that everybody can present, or at least the recordings would be available to everyone.
All right, thank you.
Sure. Joy?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. I had a bit of a suggestion, and this is coming from something I touched on earlier, but from listening to everyone's questions, I see there's a theme here. So for the parts that we wouldn't be diving deep into, and execute this how you want, but I think it would be helpful if, just for example, let's say LLM Playground or whatever RAG chat it is, that there's some maybe notes section or something that lets us know sort of the different parts and the different parts that are not being touched, right? I'll give an example. So for example, if we're doing a capstone project and there's one in mind, you could easily fall into a place where you have a capstone project in mind, you think it makes sense, and then as it goes further, you realize, oh no, this requires more significant training, this is going to be costly, I took the wrong turn and didn't realize, right? You mentioned something like somebody asked a question and you mentioned, oh no, this is going to be like 2 billion parameters, or you can take it down to 1 billion and run that on your own computer. It's not a lot. I don't think everybody is as familiar with what type of number of parameters would make it feasible or not. So I think if there was some sort of notes for maybe each project or however you want to put it, so the person understands that these are the parts we won't go through, but for these parts that we won't go through, this is the template or the replacement or whatever placeholder. And if you want to do more, these are the type of cost consideration or feasibility considerations. That would really help. I think you do a great job with that with the UI, right? We know that this is not about UI, but because you tell us that there's a template, we don't have to worry about it. But in the parts of deployment and then the cost, it can be a bit difficult to assess whether the path we're going on is practical, because we may not fully understand what the placeholders are. So some sort
course.
of note or some sort of rundown to know that we're not using a main thing here. We're using an open source. The alternatives would be, something would really help us feel like, okay, this project, this capstone, whatever idea is actually feasible and practical.
Sure, that's a great suggestion. Thank you. Of course. So so you're right. I mean, for part of it, we already have so you don't have to worry like UI. But I think that's a great idea. To add things about cost versus requirements or things like that. I'll definitely work on it. Thank you.
Sure.
Vinshu?
Appreciate the response.
Hi, are you able to hear me?
Yes.
Hi, Ali. So my question is, you have authored the generative AI system design book, right? So how can I better use this book along with this course to prepare for big tech system design interviews? And also if you can shed some light around how can we prepare on ML coding and system design interviews with respect to machine learning. If you can make a video, that would be really helpful.
Sure, I can. I can share some of my thoughts about the books. They are generally can be helpful for interviews, both the machine learning and Gen AI, depending on the interview role. If it's more focused on search or recommendation, then machine learning interview, or if it's more focused on Gen AI, the other book. And sure, I can share some, like best practices or some, like ML coding resources. If that's going to be helpful, I can share it with you. Rajesh?
Hi, Ali, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Perfect, yeah. So a couple of confirmations and then a few questions, right? So the prereq, there was a bunch of links around Python, PyTorch and all that, So here's how I'm planning to go about the first phase, right? So do some of those links, go over that quickly, and then go through the guided session as you showed me, work through that example. Is that what is required before the next course, next session?
Some of those links are more for for example, if you have no idea about Python or you want to learn some basics of Python, then there is a link for that. But in general, the lecture, the guided learning video should give you everything you need. And beside that, you may need some occasional searches if you are using a certain tool in the project, like know how to call a certain function or method. But 99% of what you need is expected to be covered in the guided learning. Those links are more for like if you need additional information about something, or if you have no prior background in something that like Python, you can go over those.
Got it. Yeah, a couple quick questions. So one of these things from practical matter perspective, what would be helpful is AI seems to be like the new hammer, right? It would be better to know when not to use that and why it should be used, because there are probably ways to solve this certain set of problems without AI. So that ability to distinguish would be super helpful. Second, in the enterprise context, how is a certain subject area being used and how do you see it evolve in the enterprise context? That might be helpful. It's more relevant and pragmatic and practical for us, for some of it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, and lastly, I did see an AI companion on Zoom. Perhaps that could use with the help with the recording. I don't know how it may have to be enabled by you. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks for letting me know. For the enterprise thing, I can also share more later, but I mean, some weeks can be relevant to enterprise as well. For example, 1 week we focus on building a customer support chatbot. And the entire week, like RAGs, everything can be super relevant, for certain use cases at enterprise. And same for agents and tools. Internally you can have your own set of tools, and then you can just introduce those through MCP or any other way to the backbone LLM, and then build your agent. Yeah.
I meant more along the lines of if you're taking on a topic, how is that currently used in an enterprise? Some examples. It doesn't have to be covered in the session itself if you're time crunch. Maybe along the links that you're going to provide, that might be some, instead of us saying, yeah, that's what I was trying to say. Thank you so much.
Sure. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yash?
Hey Ali, thanks for taking my question. I have like two questions. First one is with regards to something that was touched very recently, where someone mentioned like the content from your books could also be used in conjunction with the coursework that we are doing right now. Do you think we will have access to your books by taking this course? And is it something that will be made available to everyone?
So we are not offering, additional memberships or books with this course. Yeah, but the books can be helpful.
Okay. Yeah, and with regards to the content that you are covering in the next week, in addition to like the discussions on the project, are you also going to introduce new concepts and teach about those new concepts, or is it only going to be part of the guided project video that you create?
Sorry, can you repeat your question again?
For all the live sessions that happen on Saturdays, are we only usually the agenda is to discuss the project, but is there any other concept that will be covered in addition to the projects that we discuss?
Not new learning concept. What would be covered is like the things related to the code itself and the pieces in the code. So all the learnings or the introduction of the concepts are expected to happen in the guided learning video. But anything related to the coding, the libraries that we are using, the tools, the details of those would be covered in the project deep dive.
Got it. And generally, like, because I also want to understand, like, the office hours are only 1 hour or maybe like one additional hour. How are we managing that 1 hour for all the 400 participants, like, who may have questions? Are there going to be, how many people are going to attend the answering part of the office hour sessions? Like, how is that going to be managed?
Okay, so yeah, we would announce it. We would have internally a meeting about this and figure out the best and most effective way. And then those meetings generally can also go for longer in general. It can be more than 1 hour. It doesn't have to stop right after 1 hour. But let us figure out, and we may also suggest more office hours just to keep it more manageable.
Got it. Thanks.
The Anurag.
Hey Ali, one question on the capstone project. Is there a way to possibly, instead of at the 6th week, can it be like 7th week or so? Because I understand we would be working hard for 5 weeks continuously, and then I'm not sure if 1 week would be enough for everyone to complete their capstone and deliver something.
So that's a good point. I mean, basically, the last Sunday is more like not a capstone week; it's a capstone demo, and then the whole capstone is expected to be completed in throughout the course. And that is what I also suggest, because as you learn, probably you would learn how to implement different parts of your capstone. And the projects itself, I mean, the weekly projects, they're not going to take a lot of time. I mean, it depends on how fast you go over them or implement them. But the projects are more like assignments, which you get time for 1 week to work on. And then the capstone is the real project that you would do. And then once for the weekly projects, it's not going to take a lot of time. And then the deep dive is where we actually go over every single details of it. So I would suggest for the capstone, if you can start from the beginning or think about it first week, about different ideas or what you want to build. And then gradually, as we move forward with the weeks, you start building different pieces. I would say probably that's the most effective strategy.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah. Rahul?
Hey Ali, long-term Alex Su and Ali's fan here. Call myself Alexian or Alien.
Thank you.
I I had a question about the piggyback from the last question I had a question about the Capstone project. Is there any way we can see the requirements for the Capstone project? Especially like I've been in the engineering management for a while, and I'm a little rusty on programming now, so I want to get started back up. So it's going to take me a while, like to get situated. So those requirements would be really good guideline for me to see where I'm at in preparation for Capstone project.
Sure. So by requirements, you are referring to like kind of infrastructure requirement or requirement in terms of what topics to choose or things like that?
Yeah, like what would be the deliverable basically? Like how whatever that might be. Is it Windows app? It is web app? What are like basically requirements for like expectations from you or Alex for this?
Sure. I can share more info on that, but I mean in general it's supposed to be very flexible, right? So there is no strict requirement. You can, and also there is no strict requirement in terms of the deliverables, right? It can be just a slides, it can be full prototype, it can be partial prototype. But I can share some examples that, these can be some potential examples that you can work on and build. But again, the expectation is not to build a fully working production ready system. It can be even slides or ideas. It can also stop at the ideation phase, It's all up to you. I mean, many of people in this community are, professionals working full time, so they may not find enough time to necessarily implement something within the 6 weeks period. Just the idea is to use this community and get feedback and inputs from everyone, and then we continue and build as much as we can within the next week, within the next 6 weeks, and then after that, potentially it can be continued also and extended.
Awesome. Appreciate that, Ali. Thank you.
Sure. I think there are no more questions and we are a bit over time. So if there are no more questions, we can end it. Again, I want to thank everyone. There was a little bit confusion in the beginning in terms of the chats, like questions asked. So we'll make sure to introduce some mechanism to prioritize and make sure that all the answers would be answered correctly. So yeah, thank you so much all for joining. Feel free to post your questions in the chats and I'll try to answer them. Thank you.